I'm here. So y'all can think I'm a.
Nah, bro.
That ain't fair, nigga.
Hey,
I'm on EBT, bro.
hey.
That's why.
Kevin McCall's viral breakdown lit the fuse on his long-buried beef with Chris Brown. But before things could cool off, Young Thug jumped right in, pressing Chris face to face. What started as a calm conversation quickly exploded into a heated showdown that had everyone talking.
You have a testimony.
Why the
tell your life.
Get in on this.
I witnessed it.
He finna be in here and
Why
tell
the
the
fuck
homies
I got an
what's going on.
EBT card?
We
And
got
this is at
Hold on,
Breezy Bowl
cuz.
and made 90 whatever the million, and it say KKKK Max. Can I get 25,000 for them four songs I owe you, bro? I just want to leave, bro.
Leading up to who he is.
I'm not even tripping though. I got an EBT card, my nigga. Like what the, bro? I can't even get nothing, bro, man.
The leaked footage from that wild night showed just how deep the tension ran. Let's get into it. The breakdown that rocked the whole music world. October 20th, 2025 will go down as one of the rawest days in R&B history. Kevin McCall, 40 years old and still battling his demons, sat down for what was supposed to be a chill podcast chat on Back on Fig. Nobody could have guessed that during that nearly 3-hour interview, Kevin would shake the streets, the industry, and social media all at once. Around 45 minutes in, after the host hyped him up about his insane talent, something inside him just cracked. Right there, live on camera, he reached into his wallet, pulled out his EBT card, yeah, his food stamp card, and suddenly broke down crying in front of the entire world. It was raw, it was painful, and it had everyone watching in disbelief. Bro, that moment hit hard. It was raw, heartbreaking, and straight up uncomfortable to watch. You couldn't help but feel something, whether it was sympathy, shock, or both crashing in at once. Here was a dude who helped cook up some of the biggest hits of the 2000s and 2010s. A man whose work made millions, who once touched Grammy-level success. Now sitting there, admitting he needed government help just to eat, that pain was real. Kevin kept it 100 and dropped truth after truth. He confessed he was behind on $2,000 a month child support for his daughter Marley with his ex, Eva Marcille. Then he admitted he hadn't seen his kids in over 10 years. Through tears and heavy sobs, he started talking about how dark things got, even mentioning suicidal thoughts. It was gut-wrenching. Then came the bombshell. Kevin looked dead into the camera and pleaded with Chris Brown. "Give me the $25,000 you owe me for those 4 songs, bro." He claimed the unpaid royalties could total $3 million, saying a shady CBE deal robbed him of his fair cut. And the contrast was insane. While Chris Brown was killing it on his Breezy Bowl 20 tour, raking in $90 to $100 million performing songs Kevin helped create, Kevin was out here using food stamps and ducking people in grocery stores from the embarrassment. The clip went viral instantly, within hours. It had millions of views flying across Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. The main post from At My Mixtape As alone hit over 9 million views. The internet lost its mind. The streets were completely divided and everyone had something to say. Some people saw Kevin as a broken man chewed up and spat out by the industry. A warning about how dirty the music game can really get when the love fades and the checks stop coming. Others weren't buying it, calling him out as someone facing the fallout of his own choices, a man who'd burned too many bridges, made wild threats, and was now trying to play the victim when karma finally spun the block. But just when it felt like the story couldn't twist any further, something nobody expected happened. A real heavyweight jumped in to stir things up. Enter Young Thug, fresh out the jam, free and ready to make an impact. On October 21st, 2025, just one day after McCall's emotional breakdown had the internet losing it, Thugger shocked everyone with a tweet that sent ripples through the culture. He wrote, "Kevin McCall hit me, my bro. I'll give you the $25,000 you need, and I know CB would too. He a real one, just busy sometimes, bruh." That post hit like a lightning bolt. First off, Thug wasn't just talking. He was ready to actually hand over the $25,000 McCall said he was owed. That's not clout, that's real bread. Second, he said it publicly, putting both Kevin and Chris in a tight spot with the whole world watching. And third, the part that blew minds, Thug defended Chris while showing love to Kevin, balancing both sides like a true one. To really understand why this moment hit so different, you gotta look at the bond between Young Thug and Chris Brown. These two share more than songs. They share loyalty, respect, and a friendship built from real collaboration. It wasn't industry fake love. It was genuine, and that's why the culture felt it. Back in 2020, right in the middle of the COVID lockdowns when the world stood still, Young Thug and Chris Brown dropped Slime and B, a 13-track mixtape that proved their chemistry was unmatched. The lead single, Go Crazy, shot up to number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100 and went 4 times platinum. That was certified heat. The streets couldn't stop playing it. But their connection ran deeper than music. When Thug got locked up in May 2022 on those heavy RICO charges and spent over 2 years fighting for his freedom, Chris was one of the few who showed real love, not that fake industry sympathy. He shouted #FreeYSL loud, mentioned Thug in interviews with genuine respect, and made sure his name stayed alive while the system tried to break him down.
Actually, basically on a text message saying word. That's all they saying. Like, it's one dude saying, yo, do this, and one dude is saying word. What do you feel about that?
I mean, I can't speak on my brothers in them case and
Right.
what they going on. I can only be who I always been, they brother. You know, I'm a rock agenda for life. It's us, never.
So when Thug turned around and offered to help Kevin McCall, it wasn't betrayal. It was real leadership. He wasn't switching sides or trying to start drama. He was being the middleman, showing compassion to a man clearly going through it while still standing up for his brother Chris. That's real G energy right there. The fact that Thug said CB would give it to you also, bro, he a real one, just busy sometimes, proved he wasn't choosing sides, he was just keeping it fair. And Kevin responded quick, showing respect and saying, "What's up, bro? I'm just seeing this, about to DM you now." For a moment, it felt like peace might actually be possible in all this chaos. Fresh out the feds and clearly focused on giving back, young Thug was in a whole new zone. Just months before, in August 2025, he'd thrown a charity event for Atlanta kids, proving he was really about that community love. So when he reached out to help Kevin McCall, it came from a place of genuine care, not clout. But if Thug's move was meant to calm the storm, Chris Brown had a whole different kind of energy waiting to unload. On October 22nd, 2025, Breezy hopped on his Instagram stories with the petty dialed all the way up and dropped a cold one. Remember this, you can't walk across a burnt bridge. And you know what's funnier than a troll? A broke one, bruh, that was savage, straight ice cold. It made one thing clear. There would be no peace talks, no payback, no forgiveness, nothing. That bridge wasn't just burned, it was nuked out of existence, Chris basically said without saying, the past is done. And Kevin's the one who lit it up. His tone was so sharp, it sliced through the internet instantly. The post went viral in minutes, and social media lit up again with everyone choosing sides. Most of the culture seemed to lean about 70% toward Chris, with the streets backing him heavy. People kept bringing up how Kevin had once threatened Chris's daughter, how he'd had multiple chances to fix things but blew them all. To many, it looked like Kevin's downfall was self-inflicted, and this time, no one else could take the blame. One viral tweet summed it up perfectly. Before anyone says Chris Brown is being mean, context. Kevin McCall once threatened to kill him and his daughter, Royalty. That line had the internet split right down the middle. Some agreed, saying Chris was justified after those past threats, but others felt Breezy went too far, like he was clowning a man already at rock bottom. They pointed out that Kevin was clearly struggling, battling mental health issues, fighting demons, and carrying years of pain. This was a dude who once helped shape Chris's sound when his career was still finding its footing. And now, instead of compassion, Chris hit back by mocking his poverty in front of millions. It had people questioning whether that response was heartless or just him standing his ground. A lot of fans also brought up a bigger issue, how the music industry has a dark pattern of using up writers and producers, leaving them broke while the stars they built get rich. Folks said no matter how wild Kevin's behavior got, if he was truly owed money, that check should have been cut. Plain and simple, business is business. But to really understand how this mess spiraled into public chaos, Kevin crying on camera, Chris firing back without mercy, we gotta rewind the story to where it all started. Back to when they were brothers in the grind, two hungry young cats chasing dreams before fame and egos got in the way. March 9th, 2016. That's the date Kevin McCall finally snapped after years of staying quiet. He hit Twitter with a shot heard across the industry, tagging Chris directly. "We need to sit down and handle this business." And just like that, the brotherhood started to crumble. "I tried the adult business route. I feel my kindness is being taken for weakness." That tweet hit like a shot fired. It wasn't just some random rant. It was a public line in the sand for the whole world to see. Kevin McCall wasn't chasing clout, he was demanding accountability. He wanted a real conversation about what he believed were years of unpaid royalties and broken promises, the kind of industry games that ruin careers and friendships alike. But if Kevin thought Chris Brown would answer with calm words or a private talk to squash the tension, he couldn't have been more wrong. The very next day, March 10th, 2016, Chris hopped on Instagram and unleashed a full-blown rant that left the internet stunned. It was raw, personal, and brutal, the kind of post that burns every bridge left standing. Breezy didn't hold back one bit. He called McCall a bottom feeder and then dropped a chilling line that had everybody wide-eyed. "Keep messing with me and you won't be able to walk, let alone sing again." That was beyond petty. It sounded like a warning straight from the heart of someone ready for war. At that moment, it was clear. This wasn't just a business dispute anymore. This was personal, ugly, and dangerous. Everyone in the culture felt the tension shift. And coming from Chris, a man whose brilliance has always been shadowed by public anger issues, it hit even harder. Kevin McCall, always the defiant one, wasn't about to fold under pressure. At first, he tried to keep it cool and play it off like nothing fazed him. He hopped on Snapchat and posted, "I'm Chris Brown's #1 fan, actually." It was hard to tell if he was being sarcastic or just torn between love and hate, probably both. Real talk. This was a man who once saw Chris as a mentor, someone he helped build up with hit after hit, now being threatened by the very person he once called his little brother. But the drama didn't stop there. Not even close. The tension between them only grew messier. All through 2016, Kevin kept bouncing between calling Chris out and giving him props in the same breath. One day he was demanding freedom from his contract. The next he was praising Breezy's talent like nothing happened. It was wild. A mix of anger, nostalgia, betrayal, and brotherhood that everyone recognized as that toxic push and pull we've all seen before. Then came June 2016. McCall dropped a diss track titled Baruch, a slick play on Chris's ex, Kairouetch's name. The streets went crazy over it. Later, Kevin even admitted he did it on purpose just to get under Chris's skin. Petty? Absolutely. But it showed how far gone their bond really was. From family to full-blown enemies looking to hurt each other however they could. And just when people thought it couldn't go any lower, December 11th, 2017 came around. The day Kevin crossed a line so wild, it had the entire culture talking. Kevin McCall turned the tension all the way up when he dropped an Instagram video straight up challenging Chris Brown to a fistfight. In the clip, he called Chris a bitch for needing guns instead of throwing hands, questioning his whole tough guy image. He was basically saying Chris talked gangster but couldn't back it up man-to-man in a fair fight, calling his authenticity into question for the entire world to see. Then came the move that said it all, the one that showed their brotherhood was officially dead. Kevin grabbed his platinum plaque for Deuces, the very song that started their rise, made them money, and stamped their names in the game, went and smashed it to pieces on camera. As the shards hit the floor, he captioned it, "Deuces to my past," turning the title that once symbolized their success into a cold goodbye. Chris Brown's response, just 2 emojis, one with a blank face and another with tears of joy. That silent response cut deeper than any diss track or angry rant ever could. It screamed, "You're not even worth my words." In hip-hop culture, that's the ultimate disrespect, complete indifference. And that's when Kevin pushed things past the point of no return. The bridge wasn't just burned, it was gone for good. On January 6, 2018, he jumped on Twitter and unleashed a string of posts so wild that even longtime followers of their beef couldn't believe what they were seeing. The feud had officially gone nuclear. Kevin McCall went completely off the rails with a post that stunned everybody. He wrote, "Chris Brown and his seed would be in a casket if he had anything to do with me being shot. Stop playing with rumors or I can't promise CB will make 29. I kept him alive for 7 years. Those words hit like a bomb." Let's be clear, McCall wasn't just threatening Chris, he dragged Chris's daughter, Royalty, into it. A 3-year-old child who had nothing to do with any of this, referring to her as his seed and suggesting both father and daughter could end up in caskets crossed a sacred line. That wasn't just disrespectful, it was flat out unforgivable. The backlash was instant and vicious. Fans, celebs, and social media users came for Kevin's neck nonstop. The outrage flooded every platform. Twitter, IG, you name it. One viral post summed it up perfectly. "I don't care how much you hate Chris Brown, you don't threaten someone's child like that." Even people who once defended Kevin, saying he'd been underpaid or mistreated by the industry, instantly turned against him. In hip-hop, in the streets, even in everyday life, there are unspoken rules, and threatening someone's kid is one you never, ever break. That's off limits, no debate. Realizing how deep he'd messed up, McCall tried to backpedal fast. He claimed he was just quoting Bible verses, an eye for an eye, and said he actually loved Chris and his daughter, that he'd kill for them, not kill them, but by then the damage was already done. The culture had spoken, and there was no coming back from that one. Kevin McCall insisted everyone was misunderstanding him, claiming his posts were just hypothetical warnings about the dangers of rumors. But nobody bought it, and the damage was already done, permanent and irreversible. Any sympathy he had built up, any legitimate complaints about unpaid royalties or broken contracts were completely overshadowed by those tweets. He'd lost control, threatened a child, and handed Chris Brown the moral high ground, a rock-solid reason to cut him off for good. By 2019, McCall doubled down on his chaotic behavior, dropping a shocking rant wishing Chris Brown's fans would commit suicide. Social media erupted, jaws dropped, and yet another bridge went up in flames. This was the pattern of a man whose pain and frustration had twisted into something toxic and self-destructive, literally sabotaging his own life. Meanwhile, Chris Brown stayed mostly silent, moving strategically while McCall kept digging his own hole. Breezy didn't need to respond to every little provocation. McCall was doing all the damage himself. It wasn't until a 2020 video that Brown addressed the situation indirectly, flexing his success while throwing subtle shade at McCall's talent, a burn that cut deep and reminded everyone who was still on top.
The Deuces come together.
Deuces came together. He was doing, In My Zone did well. So he wanted to click up with Tyga. He was a fan of him. He felt like he had buzz popping at the time. He wanted to link up with him and do a joint album.
If Kevin McCall really wrote all the hits he claimed, then He Ain't Right No More hit harder than ever. It was brutal, it was effective, and it exposed a painful truth nobody could ignore. While Chris Brown's career kept climbing, multiple platinum albums, sold-out world tours, Grammy wins, Kevin stalled completely. His 2017 album, Man of God, barely made a ripple. Hits he'd helped create had made millions, but his own net worth had plummeted to nearly nothing. But the story didn't end there, far from it. While Kevin spiraled, struggling with demons, failed relationships, mental health battles, and substance abuse, the world kept spinning, the music industry kept moving, and Chris kept thriving. To really understand how it all got so messy, we have to rewind to the start, the rise and fall of a brotherhood. Back to 2009, when a young Kevin McCall from Watts, Los Angeles, made a bold move that changed everything. Picture this. Fresh out of college, where he'd been a student athlete chasing NFL dreams, Kevin found himself at an industry event, eyes locked on a young Chris Brown, just 20 years old.
That was your song?
It was my song.
Ah.
It was a separate package from the whole thing. It's like, here's your 10 songs. Oh, and guess what? Listen to this in the car. He was listening to it the whole week. And he's like, nah, I need that song. I need that song.
Chris was trying to rebuild after the 2009 assault on Rihanna, a scandal that had turned him into a pariah and left his career in shambles. But Kevin, driven by pure determination and hunger, saw an opportunity, a chance to get on the map and make his mark in a world that didn't wait for anyone. Kevin McCall literally pinned Chris Brown against a wall to pitch his demos. No hesitation, no backing down. It was bold, it was fearless, it was pure hood hustle at its finest. And somehow, it worked. Chris, intrigued by Kevin's raw talent and maybe seeing a bit of his younger self in this hungry artist, invited him into the studio. What followed was a period McCall would later call magical.
Not for 1 second. It always felt better. If it was just me and Chris Brown, I don't think the record would be as good. I think it's the whole shebang. I think it's us three, and just it was what was meant. And I never got jealous of either one of them. I always wanted the best for both of them, and I hope they wanted that for me.
A time when he wasn't just a collaborator, but family from day one. Brown signed McCall to his CBE, Chris Brown Entertainment imprint, in a joint venture with RCA Records, positioning him as his protege during one of the most critical moments of Brown's career. This was the comeback era, the moment Chris had to prove the world wrong, showing he was bigger than his past mistakes and still capable of making hits. And together, they created Straight Fire, No Cap. The chemistry was undeniable, magnetic even, producing some of the biggest hits of the early 2000s that still bang today. One standout, Deuces, released in 2010 and featuring Tyga, which peaked at number 14 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became a full-on anthem.
I mean, Chris, he had this image of me. He wanted me to just grown, sexy, had his thug appeal. And we kind of just didn't see eye to eye. I didn't see the vision he had at the same time. It could have just been a small conversation. But for whatever reason, he didn't see eye to eye with whatever he was trying to do for my career at the time. Chris was upset about it, felt like it was a bad look. So he decided to call me on the phone and tell me how much of a bad look, but he didn't tell me in a professional way. So I had to, check him and let him know, don't ever talk to me like that again. I'm not Drake, I'm not Frank Ocean. Like, you're gonna run into me again.
Here's where things get really interesting and show just how complicated their relationship was. Deuces started as Kevin McCall's song, his personal project, written about his first love, a breakup that left him raw and vulnerable. He poured his heart into every line, but Kevin didn't just hand it over for free. He set one rule: he had to stay on the track, couldn't be erased from his own creation. Chris agreed, brought in Tyga to add extra flavor, and the rest is history. Straight certified fire. The song blew up, earning a Grammy nomination for Best Rap Sung Collaboration and generating massive royalties. McCall claims he made over 6 figures from Deuces alone. Life-changing money for a kid from Watts who had just been struggling at Abercrombie and Fitch months earlier. It must have felt like hitting the jackpot, finally seeing his dreams come alive. And this was only the beginning of their run.
I mean, were you being offered publishing deals and stuff like that during this time?
I did a publishing deal through Chris. I didn't understand any of that. So everything was through Chris. And that's why what I was trying to get to is once me and his relationship kind of got funny, he kind of, the business and stuff was all held up and messed up.
McCall co-wrote and featured on Strip in 2011, which hit number 37 on the Hot 100 and tore up the clubs. He also contributed to Look at Me Now, the chart-topping collab with Busta Rhymes and Lil Wayne that became Chris Brown's first #1 hit. Kevin's fingerprints were all over Chris's early success, no question about it. The FAME album, the project that earned Chris Brown his first Grammy and cemented his comeback as one of R&B's biggest stars, also showcased Kevin McCall's talents. During this time, McCall was writing for other artists too, including Carrie Hilson's One Night Stand, proving his versatility and establishing himself as one of the most in-demand writers in the game. For a brief shining moment, Kevin was living every kid from the hood's dream. He was at the center of R&B's renaissance, creating hits alongside one of the world's biggest stars, tracks that would define a generation and get played at every party and club. Chris even called McCall his big brother in interviews, and their studio sessions were described as family affairs full of laughter, creativity, and brotherly love. That type of bond seems unbreakable, but under all the success and hits, cracks were forming. Not just small fissures, but deep fault lines in the concrete that would eventually tear their relationship apart violently. The first signs of tension appeared around 2013 to 2014 when McCall began feeling boxed in, controlled, like his artistic freedom was restricted. In a revealing 2015 Vlad TV interview that went viral, he explained that Chris wanted him to project a grown, sexy thug persona, a vision that clashed with Kevin's own goals for his music and identity as an artist. The breaking point came from an incident that, looking back, seems almost small, but it set off a chain reaction neither man could have predicted, like dominoes falling. It all started in 2014 with Keke Palmer. Yes, that Keke Palmer from the memes, who reached out to McCall as a fan wanting to collaborate on music. Kevin, eager to step out of Chris Brown's shadow and carve his own path, jumped on the opportunity without hesitation. They made the video for Shorty Wanna Ride, and Kevin was hyped, thinking it could kickstart his solo career. But Chris, he wasn't having it at all. According to McCall, Brown called him up and didn't hold back. He felt the collab was a bad look. Palmer's wholesome Disney-affiliated image clashed with the edgier persona Chris was cultivating for his roster and brand. But this wasn't just about art. It was about control and power. McCall claims Brown threatened to ruin his career and make sure the label never worked with him again, essentially trying to blackball him from the industry. For McCall, raised in the streets of Watts where respect is everything and you never let anyone punk you, this crossed a line. This wasn't just artistic criticism, it was a violation of the code and a spark that would ignite the feud into something much bigger. The confrontation marked a major turning point in their relationship. The moment everything shifted. McCall felt disrespected, treated not as the collaborator and brother he thought he was, but like an employee who'd stepped out of line and needed to be put in his place. And even more than that, he began suspecting that Chris Brown's manager was working behind the scenes to sabotage his solo career, allegedly shutting down his projects and blocking opportunities. Meanwhile, the money, or lack thereof, was becoming an even bigger sore spot. Despite Deuces blowing up with over 500 million Spotify streams and still getting plays today, McCall claims he never saw the back-end royalties he was owed. He says his publishing deal through Chris Brown's company was exploitative, that he didn't fully understand what he was signing as a young, hungry artist, and that he was basically locked into unfair terms without proper legal representation. The kind of predatory deal that destroys careers. Even McCall's deal with RCA, facilitated through Chris's connections and clout, fell apart like a house of cards. He describes a grimy situation where he was never officially listed as a signed artist on the label's website, and where his budget mysteriously went to producers he didn't even need, despite being a producer himself. This was the start of the slow unraveling of everything he had built alongside Brown. Promises were made and broken with alarming regularity. Just typical industry shenanigans. And for someone who'd poured so much into these projects, it cut deep. McCall claims that Chris Brown even removed his credits from tracks like Look at Me Now, effectively erasing him from songs he helped create and stripping away part of his legacy. Whether it was intentional, malicious, poor record keeping, or something else entirely, to McCall, it felt like the ultimate betrayal, being written out of history by the very artist he helped make a star. The hurt went beyond money or recognition. It was personal, and it marked another fracture in a partnership that had once seemed unbreakable.